Wanna you to, but there's no man who's terrified. It's the man who stands to lose you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Just seeing who actually knew the original part of that song so I could judge you guys while I don't have my camera on. And then we make it go hard for everybody just to get some energy going because I can't listen to that slow ass crap. It puts me to sleep and then I have no energy on this call. It's not good for anybody's health. All right. Looks like my microphone is working. Looks like surprisingly my camera is working. I'm getting better at this technology thing. I didn't even have to hire an IT guy. I'm surprised. And that just goes to prove it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, where you come from. You could do anything. And yeah, figuring out how a computer works is possible. So for those of you that are struggling, keep with it. There's a lot of good YouTube videos. And crap, I forgot to turn my freaking lights on, so I'm looking all goofy and stuff. I had it 80%. There we go. We got one on. We got two on. All right, there I go. I don't look so crazy now. So as a lot of you know, and I know Chris talked about it, the twins talked about it, Andy talked about it. We've all been talking a lot about it last week or this week. Last week, and actually some of us on this call were here last week. So we all went to the vault last week. It was a 4 or 5 day event with Patrick Bet David. And a lot of us coaches have been giving back because if y'all really, really want to know, if you guys really want to dig in deep to the value and the information that we give you, we don't just simply wake up every morning and all of a sudden this like new information and creativity is in our mind. Like we're out there growing and learning as well. We're out there taking in multiple sources of information, combining it to what we know now so we can level up. Because think about it. If you followed us as coaches, if you followed us as a sales, training, business consulting, life development company, whatever your reason for being here is, and you notice after 2-3 months that we were saying the exact same thing over and over again, you would move on. So as a coach, and really just everything that we talk about, so not even as a coach, just what I believe men and women should be, is it is truly your job to get better every single day. So just like we encourage you, and don't worry, I'm not getting ready to pitch y'all, but just like we encourage you guys and gals to get out and do something different, we're doing the same dang things in our life. We're going to pay to see Patrick Bet-David and his stuff. We're going to study this. We're buying the same books. If I recommend you a book, which, you guys know my opinion on recommending a book. If I recommend you a random ass book, 9 times out of 10, I might just send you down a random rabbit hole of some crap that you don't need to learn for your specific situation. So I'm not going to recommend a book. But hypothetically, if I were to recommend a book, if I were to say this, and even if we got on a one-on-one and I recommend a book, I've probably read the same book. Very, very, very rarely do I recommend a book that I haven't read. The only time that's not true is maybe you're in one of those goofy industries I don't know much about, and I'll be honest with you about it, and I'll kind of give you hey, I've heard this is good for your industry, but I know nothing about it. And I mean, that might have happened one time in my life, but I like to speak the truth. So what I'm going to be giving y'all back today is some of the highest level value that being at PBD's event helped me with. Things that I actually put in, that I actually took notes on, that I actually decided that I was going to implement my own life. And the reason I want to give you these is because it goes a lot into what I talk about on my Wednesday calls. Finding yourself, finding the leader that you are, finding the leader that you're becoming, and becoming the man or woman that you want to freaking be. And honestly, to me, I think that is the hardest part of anyone's self-development journey. Like realistically, and I'm not trying to be cocky, I'm not trying to be arrogant, making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, once you figure out how to do it, it's kind of easy. I'm just being real with you. It'll be a bitch to get there, but once you figure out the system, the processes, the habits to do it, it's actually not that hard. Now, making $500,000, $1 million, yes, that's another step. But once you figure that out, you're dialed in again at another level. So I want to talk about, because I was actually speaking to someone yesterday, and crap, I wish she was on this call. Probably why she's having trouble. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and she told me she's coming out to an event, not any of the next few. It's sometime next year, but it'll be the 4th or 5th event she's been at. And she says this. She says, I hate coming out because I'm the example you talk about the person who comes out a handful of times and doesn't get any results. And that statement pissed me off a little bit. That statement fired me up a little bit because I've been talking to her for over 2 years now. Honestly, that was one of the first people I met, or as when I started working for the Elite Group, that was one of the first people that I had, talked to. One of my first 3-4 months, and I'm like, shit, that's kind of a reflection on me too. That's just not you. That statement is pissing you off because it came out of your mouth. But the first thing that I went is, fuck, that's on me too. Because if you're not implementing things, it's not always a simple hey, you're lazy and you're just not doing the work. A lot of people do the work over and over again, and they're still struggling. They're still hitting that brick wall. And 9 times out of 10, when we get to that point, it isn't being lazy. It's being non-productive, and it's that believability thing. And we say believability a lot. And it's so hard to overcome because my definition of self-believability, self-confidence, all of that might be slightly different. The way I find, confidence in myself might be different than you. For me, it's simple. And this doesn't work for everybody. It actually doesn't work for most people. Call me a bitch. Tell me I can't do something. I'm going to figure it out just to beat your ass. That works for me. But I also understand not everybody is geared like that. I was actually listening to, it was either Frisella or it might have been PBD. I don't remember. One of the podcasts I listened to yesterday, I didn't listen to Rogan at all yesterday, so I wasn't going on a conspiracy theory journey. But one of the podcasts I listened to brought up this. The lower class, the poor class, the broke as hell class in America, on average, by the time they're 18, between I'm being born and 18 years old, they will have 6 600,000 more negative remarks told to them about what they can't do than positive things about what they can do. 600,000 negative. The working class. So by definition, the working class is basically the middle class. The working class will have a negative 100,000 by the time they're 18, negative comments said to them, or I guess positive 100,000 comments said to them over positive encouraging comments. Even the working class, 100,000 more negative comments said their way. However, the study also showed that when you go to the upper class, that it completely turns. It goes to 100,000 positive comments told toward them versus negative comments told that they can't do. So the upper class, I'm talking people who are probably making $500,000 or more, who have the house, who have the cars, who've had a silver spoon up their ass their entire life. It's not a bad thing because that's the life that we want to give all of our kids. Am I right? Like, we may have not had it, but I damn sure guarantee my kids are going to have as much as they can without being spoiled little shit. So that's what I'm trying to create here. So I know I talk a lot about a lot of shit about people who are, born with that silver spoon up their ass and how they don't have work ethic. And a lot of them don't. I'm just going to be real. If that's you and you're here because you're like, man, I'm pissing away a fucking gift, then wake up. But that's the life I'm going to give my damn kids. But I'm going to do a good job, hopefully, as a father, that I don't give them the entitlement portion of it. I want them to go work for their shit. So because of that, because the upper class gets, 100,000, positive comments told how great they are, what they can accomplish, they don't struggle with mindset as much. It's like once you learn how money makes money and how you can use money to make more money, you kind of just figure out the whole system and you're like, okay, I just need to stack a bunch of money and then I can have my money work for myself and not have to bust my back every single day. It's the same concept. When I'm told I'm great, when I'm told I can do something, when I'm told I have the potential, but I'm held to the standard, two things happen. One, I think I'm better than everybody else and I just go, and I create big things and I do great things. I mean, literally look at Donald Trump. Hate him, love him. The guy was just told, his dad did okay in real estate in Brooklyn. He decided he wanted to go do real estate in Manhattan, and he just started building over and over and over again, even when the guy is completely wrong. And if you want to know, like, the debate yesterday was a complete nightmare of a mess. It was disgusting. But even when the guy is completely just making shit up and being a salesperson, like he is, by the way, you still believe it. And you're like, dude, that's cool. He thinks everything that comes out of his mouth is amazing. And yet we criticize him because he's like over exaggerating. It's like, isn't that the confidence that we're all looking for? Maybe are we criticizing the man? And I'm sorry that I'm using him as an example because there's probably better people. I just like it's in the media so much you guys can all relate to it. But isn't that the confidence that we all are looking for in ourselves when we get on the phone, when we get on the social media, when we just go out there and, at our networking party, we can just walk around, shake hands and know that we've got that we're the biggest motherfucker in the room. Sorry, I'm trying not to cuss. So I ended up taking away the sexual joke and going to just dropping the F-bomb again. But that is the confidence that we all want. So I'm starting to wonder as I see this, is all this hate and like diversity and like just breaking people apart in our country, is it simply that we all want to cry and bitch about what we don't have? And we want to hate the people who have achieved at a level that we haven't. And luckily I'm on a good call right now. Luckily I'm on people who chose to be on this call and I'm not on CNN, crying to the world and talking about this. So I'm sitting with people who want this in life. So let's get into this. Let's get into the actual value that I want to drop on everyone today and have a notepad and pen ready. I know sometimes I go into mindset and I'm kind of just trying to go to the motivation, wake you up a little bit, trip one thing that's going to change your entire day and get you to another level. But this call, I promise you, I'm going to probably drop about 10 things that everybody needs to hear. And this call is going to be one of those calls that only 20% or less, and I'm good with that, 20% of people are going to take action on because it's going to be the boring. It's going to be, and I don't want to say boring because when you start doing this deep dive into yourself, it's actually not boring. It's actually very, very interesting. You'll lose a lot of sleep. The problem is it breaks your ego a little bit. The problem is you have to admit that, hey, I'm not as great as I want to be, but I can get better every day. And the problem is you have to self-identify and fix yourself. It's so easy to go around the world and tell everybody else what's wrong with them, what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with the economy, what's wrong with the government, what's wrong with all of this bullshit that you have zero control over. Because I'm looking at my people on the call, my couple politicians I have are not on this call right now. So like no one here is a politician. So guess what? You're not going to fucking fix the government tomorrow. Like, go try to fix the world. I love it. That's what I'm going to do. But it ain't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take years and years and a lot of freaking gray hair. So let's focus on the thing that if you truly want and you want to wake up, you could have this, I don't want to say fixed, but you could have a game plan for improvement in the next 56 minutes while I'm on this call. 46 minutes. Math is a bitch. I'm not a math magician. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. It might happen on this call for one of you. It might. More than likely, you're going to hear it. It's going to get in your head. It's going to stoke that fire just a little bit more. It's going to get closer and closer. But hopefully, since I'm not going to talk from my perspective as much, hopefully there's something else that I can trigger that's a little different than I have. So this is a mix of PBD. This is a mix of us. This is a mix of what we all learned about. And these are probably some of the biggest things that I took away from the event. So at first, I want to talk about, let me back up on my notes here. There we are. 5 moves, the 5 moves that you're going to have to master. 5 moves that you're going to have to master. So be ready to write this down. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page here, but I want to give you the actual value. I don't want to go completely from my memory, because the way I memorize things, the way I put things into my life are the way it works for me. And I want to give you basically the basic strategies so that you can interpret them in your own way and they can mean what they mean to you and not what they mean to me. Because that's a lot of what self-development is it's how it means it to you. Just because I interpret something a certain way doesn't mean it's the way you interpret it. My personality, even if you are right 93.2% of the time, we're not going to be right about everything. You're going to be wrong a little bit more than I am. You get what I'm saying? Like, I have ego, I have confidence. Sometimes I like to joke when I'm just being goofy and kind of making fun of myself a little bit because I, hope it breaks it down a little bit. But realistically, you can have those same character principles, but you're going to be a completely different man or woman than I am. You can't be both. Don't get confused. Anyways, the first thing that you're going to have to move, these are going to be the top 5. Yeah, a couple of you caught that. The first thing that you're going to have to move, these are the top 5 things that you're going to have to master. The first thing is, and it's self-explanatory, is 1, you're going to have to master knowing yourself. So write that down. I need to master knowing myself. Now, I'm going to move on from this relatively quick because this is kind of going to be what the whole call is about. But you need to know who the hell you are. And be careful. It doesn't mean you need to love everything that you're doing every day, but you need to know who you are, what you're built for, because that's going to be that long purpose. If you're just selling cars, selling solar, running this business day by day by day because, you're trying to make 170 grand a year and blah, like, it doesn't have any push. It doesn't have any drive. It doesn't have anything that you're becoming. If you're trying to self-develop and you don't know who the hell you're trying to become or what you're trying to achieve, it's like it's like a dog chasing its tail that lost its tail when it was a baby. Like, it's freaking pointless. You're just chasing something that doesn't exist. You have to be able to define what you want. You have to be able to define what your win is. It may not be crystal clear. That's fine, but you at least need the mission. So you've got to master knowing yourself. And that's going to be the one thing that is going to be harder than anything else, in my opinion, because it changes daily and you get closer to it daily, but you've got to have something that you're chasing. So master knowing yourself. 2, you need to master the ability to reason. When I was doing that, how to learn quicker, memorize more information, read faster, like a month that I did about 2-3 months ago, a lot of that was mastering your ability to reason, because we have been programmed since a young age as children. What did we do when we went to school? You had a test and it was A, B, C, D. And you picked A, B, C, D. You saw the information. You're like, oh, shit. Yeah, I remember that. And you moved on. That actually broke your ability to reason. That made you a machine for information. That made it so all you could do is watch Fox News, CNN, and all of a sudden someone would say a hit word from your favorite show and you'd go, oh, yeah, they're evil because of that. Big C, big C, big C. And we lost the ability to critically think ourselves. And that's going to be critical in everything you do. Because I've noticed this with salespeople, especially when you get to that point, when you're above average, when you start making decent money, and then you're like, Jonathan, I can't seem how to be number 1. I can't seem how to hit this pillar. I can't seem how to get through this. 9 times out of 10, it's because you're so stuck on memorizing a script verbatim that you don't tweak it a little bit. Or you're like, oh my gosh, the customer said this, and I said exactly what I was supposed to say, and it didn't work. And I go, well, how'd you get there? Well, this, and that. And I'm like, Why the fuck did you do that? Well, that's the way the process is supposed to go. I go, that's the base process. But the customer told you early on that they were going to have a credit issue. So why did you even go down that road? Why didn't we maneuver here? You're going to have to be able to critically think, not only for your business, but for yourself. If the only thing I do in this world, and this goes into mastering yourself, but if the only thing I do in this world is I go out there and I repeat the information that came out of Jonathan Roberts' mouth, that came out of Andy Elliott's mouth, and I say, hey, verbatim, this works in my life. And then I bitch 2 weeks later, like, it didn't work, Jonathan. I'm like, dude, I was giving you like a lot of times I just share what's going on in my life, but you've got to incorporate it into your life because we are slightly different. Unless you have a wife and 2 kids and you live in this address in North Scottsdale, Arizona, and you drive these cars and you got this, like, it's probably not going to work for you. Like, we have different experiences. I've had 8 years of military experience. I know how to deal with stupid shit like mopping a floor for no damn reason. Have you ever got paid shit money to do whatever someone else said for absolutely no benefit to life? Like, unless you work out, some of you are like, dude, I worked for the government too. It's all what we do. Like, should I do that right now? But real, like, I have different experiences in life, and I'm not saying I'm better than you, but you've got to take these things that we share with you and have the ability to critically think and reason for yourself and put it into your own life. So if you need help reasoning, here's what I would tell you to do. Go pick the most controversial political issue right now. And it's going to take you through a fucking madhouse. Go pick a controversial political issue, meaning the economy, abortion, or immigration. Pick one of those 3. I want you to print 3 right-wing media, 3 left-wing media, read all 3 articles, put it together and write your own article and give your brain the ability to start thinking through shit. Because I promise you, if you do that, I don't care if you lean left or if you lean right or you're a crazy conspiracy theorist like me, it will fuck with your head because you're going to go, dude, these aren't even the same fucking facts. And you will have to start deciphering what's true, what's fake. And I promise you this, by the end of it, you're going to go like, I don't think we landed on the fucking moon. I don't know how we got here from immigration, but 100% we did not land on the moon. Stole that from Joe Rogan, by the way. But that's what critical thinking is about. It's about being able to like decipher all that shit and come up with the conclusion that you believe. Not the conclusion that I believe, not the conclusion CNN or Fox News believes, but the conclusion you believe about yourself. So number 2 was the master the ability to reason. Number 3, and some of you, this is going to throw through a loop here. You have to be able to master building the right team. Now, a lot of you are going to be, but I don't have a team. I'm just a salesperson. Yeah, that's why you're fucking stuck at just a salesperson. And here's the thing. If you don't ever want to lead anything in your life, by all means, go fuck off. You'll never lead shit. That's totally fine. The problem is you tell me, oh, I don't ever want to be a leader. I just want to be a salesperson. And then you're like, how do I do this? How do I master it? Dude, you got to lead yourself. And you're going to need some practice. You're going to need some people around you. And at the same time, like, we all have big dreams on this call, especially if you keep getting on my call. You would not deal with this like slight abuse if you didn't have really big dreams. Like, you would be off this call so dang quickly because I get it. I'm semi-offensive. But the reason you're on it is because you see the world like I do. For those of you that don't know or listen to my podcast, which every one of you should because I need more viewership. Anyways, like, I legitimately, one of my goals in life, and I actually wrote this book, is I'm going to run for fucking president of the United States. I haven't even really started a campaign at all. I just talk shit to people and tell them that. But like, do you have, it's not safe for society, Seth. Do you have big, audacious goals like that? Do you have a stupid, like, honestly, the only person I tell people that, the only person that believes me is like my wife, because you can see it on people's faces. Like, you're like, you are? I'm like, I hear the shit that comes out of your mouth. You recording this shit right now. It's like, I'm making $1 million when you run. Blackmail, bitch. But like, do you have one of those goals that pushes you so damn hard that you do stupid shit? That you do things that, like, I mean, I'll be real with you. There's times that I don't even believe my stupid self. There's times that I've got to go deep and like, dude, do you really have the potential? Do you really want to go through that hell? Like, here's the thing. I convinced myself and I gave up on this dream for so long. And I'm going to open up to you guys a little bit right now. I gave up on this dream so long because this was always a dream that I had in the back of my mind, but it was kind of like one of those pipe dreams that you're like, that'd be kind of cool. That looks fun. And then as you get older, you kind of, realize that it's a living hell. And you're like, do I really want to do that? So while I was in Afghanistan, this is when it became a reality. I had 100% because, going to Afghanistan, you guys could probably imagine it's a great vacation. Lots of fun shit happens over there. But like, you've got to keep this mind right. And I've always been very focused on controlling my mind. So when you're going over there, I was in the 173rd Infantry Brigade. If you guys don't know what that unit is, you can go look. It is the most deployed unit to the war on terror. We got in some pretty cool little gunfights. Like, we had a lot of fun. Let's leave it at that. So I was going over there with a very highly active unit. We were not going over there to lick flowers and kiss babies. We were going over there to do the job that, you think that you do over there. We were going over there to fuck some shit up. So like, I left my wife, I left my family. I didn't have a kid at the time. And like, I go to Afghanistan. We're living in Germany. She goes back to Oregon because she doesn't want to be in Germany. Like, we'd only been there 2 months. It would have been really boring and weird. So like, I go over there and like, you have to keep your mind focused. So I had myself 100% convinced I couldn't fucking die. Like, I had myself 100% convinced it was impossible to kill me. Like, really, I had gone through the scenarios in my head. Well, what if I get shot in the arm? What if I'm bleeding out from the abdomen? Like, what am I doing here? I'm like, oh, it's going to hurt, bitch. It's going to hurt, but you don't close them eyes, motherfucker. Like, I had this in my head. So the worst case scenario that I had in my head is I get hit with an IED because I got hit a few fucking times. Luckily, nothing happened. I knocked myself out, probably have some PTSD and fucking, TBI or some shit. The NFL's bitching about TBI. You guys want to know about real TBI? Holy shit. Anyways, so the worst thing that I thought would happen to me is I lose my arms and legs. For some reason, that's what I convinced myself. I convinced myself I can't die, but I can lose my arms and legs. So I told myself, if that happens, I was going to be president of the United States. That would be the thing that pushes me to wake the fuck up and actually want to do it. So I go through Afghanistan, get blown up a few times, nothing too crazy. Go home, had my arms and legs, and I kind of gave up on the dream. Because at that point in my life, that was like one of the first huge mental exercises that I did with myself that took me there. Like, think about it for a second. Like, I had convinced myself in a position that, there was a chance that you take a bullet and I can't do shit about it if I take it between the eyes, like, I'm gone. But I convinced myself that was impossible. But I convinced myself that I could lose pretty much everything. And I think losing your arms and legs, it's pretty much everything. You can't really do shit. But I convinced myself under those circumstances would be enough to push me to do what I wanted to do. And then I got out, came home, and I'm like, well, shit, that didn't happen. It's time to be lazy and drink beer again. And I had lost that drive. And when it comes down to that, I want you to get so focused on who you are that you start coming up with shit in your mind like that you start going deep, because you're going to have to be a leader of yourself. And by becoming that strong of a leader of yourself will help you lead other people. And you can only do so much on your own without a team. I will break any individual over time if I have the right team. I really, really will. Because I don't care how badass you are. I don't care how little sleep you need, how much you go to the gym, how productive you are. You have 24 hours. And if you can eliminate sleep from your life, you still, have 24 hours. And eventually my team will break you over and over again. So you have to be able to lead a team. Now, if you're an individual sales rep, you're like, what does that mean? I mean, you could get into leadership, or, there's a couple guys, follow them on the Sales Nation page, things like that. If you're not in Andy's private Facebook group, don't worry, not pitching you. There's a link to it. Join it. I'll accept you after this call. But there's people in there who are selling 55, 60 cars a month. For those of you that have never sold cars, that's a lot of fucking cars. But they're operating as a team. They're having an assistant, do the paperwork so they could be selling, so they could be doing this. If you're in the insurance game and you're a savage on the phone and you can set appointments left or right and you can work and close your appointments over and over again, well, then you're going to need some sort of processor to help you out, some sort of admin assistant to maybe help you facilitate paperwork. I get it. There's licensing and shit they have to do. Well, get them freaking licensed. The real estate world has figured out. And I know some of you insurance guys are like, oh, well, it does work. Yeah, you've been doing it. But you're going to have to build a team. And maybe this team isn't even someone that works for you. Maybe this team isn't someone that actually does business with you, but this team is just a bunch of savages like you're on now. Like, the call you're on now is your team. Why? Some of you get on this call every single week, and I love you guys, but you don't do shit. I don't see you reach out to anybody. I don't see you at events. I don't even see you in like Sales Nation or any of the groups dropping value, introducing yourself, chat with people, answering questions. This is your team. I promise you, we got 33 people. It's a little smaller call today. I love it. It's more intimate. But here's the thing. I guarantee you there's someone on this call that you could potentially reach out to that's probably $100,000 idea. That's probably just a connection of someone that you could talk to. So build your team around you. Make sure the team is full of the right people. And whether you're doing business together or just life together, you're going to have to master building, and here's the key word, master building the right team. Because you could join the Jets all you want. Even if your name is Aaron Rodgers, the Jets still fucking suck. The fourth one, master strategies to scale. I'm not going to move too far on this one because this is about you right now, not your business, but you are going to have to master strategies to scale. And a lot of the strategies that you master to scale are not things that you turn on tomorrow or turn on today and they work tomorrow. A lot of these things are like building your social brand or building your organic brand. These are going to be things about putting a process together that is duplicatable. So when you sell a car, you go A, B, C, D, bam, and it's the same process. The paperwork's done the same way. The follow-up's done the same way. It takes the time out of thinking so you can get back to grinding, so you can get back to finding more clients to get in front of you. It's going to be putting in processes that you use over and over again the exact same way and you don't deviate. For example, I actually killed a post. And if you're on this call, dude, learning thing for you here. I killed a post today that was from a salesperson who they sold a car, the customer left, the customer came back. And the only reason I actually killed it is because they wanted to dog your management. Now, here's the thing. I don't like your manager. I actually think 9 out of 10 managers are complete shit. They're not leaders. They're just sitting there fogging a mirror. Here's the thing. You cheated the system once and you won. Good job. 4 days prior, you had actually made a post about how you're struggling in the business and wanted help. So you're going to dog your management team because they suck and you cheated the system and you got to win. Good job. It works. But maybe the reason you're sucking is because you're trying to cheat the system so hard instead of just do the freaking process that you're not getting the results you want. You want to brag about the one time you got something up on someone. Well, good job, dude. Go see if US Bank wants to go cash that shit in because my bank account's good. Kind of. Not really. I'm kind of pissed off. I need to get some more zeros in there. But real talk. Come up with strategies to scale and stick with them. It doesn't mean every idea you have is a good idea. You're going to fuck some shit up here and there. But if it's something that's common sense, that is scaling, that is growing, do it over and over and over again. You're going to have to master it to master yourself. Because if you're running around with a chicken with its head cut off, you're not accomplishing shit. The final one, and then we're going to move on to something real freaking fun here, is you're going to have to master power plays. What are power plays? Big shit that you do. And you'll hear PBD talk about this a lot. Power plays. What is a power play? Define it how you want. I'm going to trump a motherfucker. And that's not a Trump reference. You know, there's this game called Spades or this game called, what's the other one? My grandma used to play it when she was still around. It's like Spades, but a lot more confusing. Pinnacle. If anyone's played Pinnacle, thank you. I know you're over the age of 55 and collect an AARP soon. But Trump, it's just one up in someone. Or there's the one up, these big moves. It's like, have you ever been in a sales meeting or a networking event? Or like, think about Andy 4 years ago when he stood up at his first PBD event. He said, I'm going to become the #1 sales trainer in the country, right? You're competing against guys like Cardone. You're competing against all the other names out there. Cardone was the big one, obviously, in the automotive space. 2 years took over the automotive space. But I mean, how many of you put yourself in that room, right? Back then, I want to say PBD's event 4 years ago was 500-600 people, maybe 1,000 people. Let's say 1,000 people. Let's say you're a general admission ticket, because a few of you that were on this call, you guys know about the PBD event. The general admission tickets got called out a little bit. It was kind of funny. But imagine you're sitting in the nosebleeds, right? You're sitting at the 300 section. At this event, there were 6,000 people. Probably 4,000 were general admission. And you get this guy, VIP or CEO, so he's sitting up in the front. You know he paid the big bucks to be there, and you don't know his name. Let's just say his name was, John Smith, and not the Mormon, but fucking John Smith, because it's a generalized name. So John Smith, you don't know anything about this guy. He's a bald motherfucker. He's not, sorry for the language. He's a bald dude. He's not that big yet. Like, he's a nobody. And this guy stands up in front of 6,000 people and says, I am going to take over this damn industry and be the savage ass best. How many of you sitting in the 300 nosebleeds would be like, yeah, move on? It's what most people do. It's what most people do, because you don't have that big audacious goal. You don't have that belief in yourself. You're not willing to make the big moves. Now, here's the thing, and then we'll move on. Power plays. The difference between a big audacious goal and a power play is a big freaking move that helps you get closer to that goal. Because I could say a ton of shit. A ton of things can come out of my mouth, and if I don't take action, I don't get any closer. For example, I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. Los Angeles is about, 500 miles to my west. What if I say, hey, I want to go to Los Angeles? Well, I know this. It's a few days if I decide to walk. It's 6 hours if I decide to drive. It's 4 hours if I fly commercial. It's 2 hours if I take JSX and I don't have to wait through TSA. Okay. If I sit here in my chair and not do a damn thing, I don't get any closer to my goal. If I decide to start walking west right when I get off this call and have a general direction of what coordinate freaking Los Angeles is, or direction it actually is, I will eventually get to Los Angeles. The problem is there could be $1 billion waiting for me in Los Angeles. And if I'm told I have to walk there, most of us will take, 2-3 miles. We'll start feeling that 100-degree Phoenix sun and we'll fucking quit. Some of you might even make it 20, 30, 40 miles and you'll quit because all of a sudden, all those dreams, they start getting taken down by that devil and this and that. But what if I just started walking and I told myself I was going to walk for a day and a half and then decide? Well, a day and a half would probably put me about halfway there. Well, then when I get halfway there, I'm actually closer to finishing than I am to go back home and be a little bitch. The issue is in business and in life, you don't know when you're at that halfway point. Hell, a lot of you might be at the 90% point of that goal that you're trying to accomplish and you don't even know it yet. But a couple of you will back off and you'll be that freaking close to accomplishing it. And you'll probably realize it. You'll probably realize it in 10 or 15 years. And you go, oh, crap, that's all I needed to do. And hopefully you get your goal.
Say what's going on.
And the same, but don't quit and make a big freaking move. I mean it. When I say big move, I mean this. I mean, if there's something on your soul, something that you want to do and it eats at you and you want it more than anything, make an irreversible change in your life. I mean that. You'd be surprised how many people, I want to move out to Phoenix to be close. Okay, fucking do it. I mean, I'm not going to hire your ass. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get confused by this statement, but this is one of the best economies in the freaking nation. So don't tell me you want to do something. I tell you to do it, but you don't want it. You want to quit drinking? Do something that's irreversible. Tell your freaking wife if you have another drink, that it's her job to leave your ass. Do something irreversible in your life if you really want to make that power play, if you really want to get closer to the goal. And I'm not talking, this isn't for, I need to cut the lawn every Saturday. If that's your fucking problem, get some damn discipline. I'm talking, this is a life-changing thing. If there's something on your mind, if it's a business, if it's a job, if it's a promotion, do something irreversible to get closer to that goal every single day. So that was, what was that? The 5, what they call it? The 5 moves to master. Those are 5 moves everyone needs to master in your life. Now I'm going to blow through this next part really, really quick because I don't want to go too deep into it, but I'm going to go over 7 mountains of influence that is going to, Patrick Bet-David, obviously he's a little right wing. He's got his podcast, all of that. So this is a change of nation. But while he was going through this, I actually saw this pretty deep in ourselves and business. And these are going to be the 7 things that I want you to think about and I want you to write down. And I want you to do your sheet like this. I'm just going to show you my book. I can't really show you. So I want, there's 7 columns, bam, 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 bam. And in each one of those columns, there's a challenge and there's an opportunity. Because a lot of times we come up with these challenges in our life. Oh, social media takes away from my life, or I can't watch football on the weekend because I'm not where I want. I agree with that to a certain extent, but at the same time, there's an opportunity to maybe watch some football on the weekends. It's crazy. The busier and busier I get, even though I like football, like I keep cutting it out more and more, and also the dumb shit they do. But anyways, here's the thing. There's going to be cost and opportunity, everything. We called it challenges that you're going to have to overcome, but the opportunity to gain through it. So here's the 7 categories really quick. And below each category, challenge and opportunity, I want you to go through each one of these in your own life. Arts, sports, and entertainment. That's number 1. Arts, sports, and entertainment. The second mountain of influence that can change your culture is your business. 3, education.
You've been watching.
Next, family.
You like yourself, you like the clothes.
Next, government. It's my favorite. Following is media. Then we're going to hit you with religion. Everybody get those? Give me a thumbs up. Golden. Okay. So I want you to do this exercise on yourself because I don't want to go balls deep into it, but I'll give you a little framing of how to do it, how to get through it. But let's essentially go government, right? And you're a salesperson, you're in a business, I guess interest rates aren't totally related to the government, more of the Federal Reserve, but I don't feel like explaining how all that shit works on this call. And I don't even completely understand because it's confusing. But let's just say you're in business, because this works for salespeople and this works for business owners. And all of a sudden, the Federal Reserve raises the prime, interest rates go through the roof, buyer demand falls. It's the idea is it controls inflation, blah, 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 right? Well, here's the thing. The government, let's just say the Federal Reserve is technically the government because they're controlled by the government, because conspiracy theories. Anyways, so the government goes ahead and they raise rates. And by the way, everybody, I know this is not how it is actually supposed to work. I'm just a realist. So the government raises interest rates to try to slow inflation, which actually makes it harder for you to sell shit and lowers buyer demand. That's the entire point of the Federal Reserve and a couple other things that they fail at doing. So what can we do? Well, the challenge is the government can fuck around and fuck with my business whenever the heck they want. And if you don't believe me, look at people in the marijuana industry. Look at people in the tobacco industry. I'm talking like those vape things. I don't like them. I think you look like a douche smoking a douche flute. But let's be real. I also think you should be able to do what you want when it comes to tobacco. Like, you're a fucking grown-ass man. It doesn't piss you off. It doesn't make you angry. Like, it chills you out a little bit. And if you want cancer, by all means, I went years with dipping. I never smoked, but dipping, God, I love me some Copenhagen. So I think you should be able to do what you want. But the government doesn't want you to, because it's bad as a public health crisis and it costs a bunch of money. So what do? They put tobacco taxes out there. They make it harder to sell, vapes. They end up monopolizing the shit essentially because they can control it. So the government can screw with your business at any time. Now, what is my opportunity to do business when I'm talking about something like that? Okay, well, rates are up, this and that. Let's say I'm selling cars. And I know this. I know the government keeps screwing with me, putting more fees and shit on my cars that I got to sell, which is making it harder to sell cars. Well, doesn't the government buy cars? Oh, maybe instead of completely bitching, I go figure out how to get me a fleet account. You guys know my salespeople that had fleet accounts just sold like 400 or 500 cars a month or a year to the government and did absolutely no work. Like real talk, they probably did 6 hours of work as far as writing a bid, sending it over. I can't remember the website you use in Oregon, but sending it over there. And they would probably sell 500 cars a month. I'd pay them $150 a car and it cost them 6 hours. Real talk. So instead of crying how they couldn't do it, they figured out how to go sell to the people that were pissing them off. Same thing is with the media. How can the media screw you? CNN can screw your mind. Fox News can screw your mind. The debate, the politics, the blah, 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 the negativity, the murders, the racism, the sexism, like whatever you want to cry about, the media can, screw your mind up. Or maybe you can use media to go find new customers. Maybe you can use media to go put some positivity out there in the world. Same thing with your family. You can bitch all you want. There's going to be challenges in everyone's family. There's going to be challenges in everyone's education. Oh, I ended up dropping out of college. I dropped out of high school. Good. So did most of us because it was a waste of your time. Congratulations. You got a leg up, dude. Now you got the freaking PhD of hard knocks. Go use it. So go through each one of those areas in your life, because I guarantee you there's a little bit because anytime I talk about sacrifice or I talk about, give it, I love live entertainment. I love live sports. So a lot of times something that pisses me off is I can't go to a live hockey game, or I guess hockey and football are my big ones, or the waste management in Phoenix is a lot of fun and it rained out this year. So the challenge is it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me time. It's not really going to benefit. Like when I was drinking, I knew I was going to get drunk. So it would kill the day for me. But what's the opportunity there? Well, when I was drinking, nothing. That's kind of why I quit drinking. But the opportunity could be, well, maybe I spend a little bit of extra money and I bring a client to a football game or a hockey game or some crap like that. Maybe I connect with someone on a deeper level. So I can do both. Maybe I invite a bunch of people over to my house. We kind of have a networking event and we just have the game on in the background, because honestly, when I watch football, do I really pay attention to it? A little bit here and there if the game's good, but 90% of it, I'm just bullshitting with someone, or I'm wasting time with myself. And nowadays, hell, half the time people are sitting there, I got to watch the game. And what do? They look up all the other games on their phone the whole fucking time. It's crazy. So each one of these areas, go through your life and identify the challenges that you have pursuing that, things that are going to hurt you in that area, and the actual opportunity. And then instead of, simply just eliminating everything in your life, you're going to be able to find the opportunity in it. And maybe those things, those passions that you really have, you could figure out a way to make them a business venture, or at least increase your business and be able to pursue them and keep yourself happy. Because I don't believe in being miserable. I really don't. I believe if you're sucking ass, barely paying bills, barely getting by, getting evicted, and if you're making less than $120, I believe in being miserable for a little bit. I believe in hustling until you figure it out. I believe in putting in the hours and breaking your back until you at least get good enough to survive. But once you get beyond that point, I believe more in a reward system. I believe that man and woman, we're only on this earth for 78.4 years. Men, women, you get an extra 4 years. Have a lot of fun with fucking out us. You guys get the 82 years. Good for you. You don't fucking do stupid shit when you're young, so the statistics are all fucked up or as stupid shit. I don't know. I'm just messing around. I don't know what women think. I'm told I can't. Sorry, that's fucked up. So we have 82 years on earth. Let's just be real. Why would you go 82 years of being miserable? I don't believe in that bullshit. I believe in getting yourself to a comfortable spot, and I believe in growing and doing big ass things. But I believe once you get just a smidgen beyond comfort, once you get a little bit of freedom, go enjoy the freedom a little bit. I don't believe in the Dave Ramsey theory. I don't believe in the save every penny you have. I don't believe in the live well under your means bullshit. I believe in go out there and buy some shit you can't afford so you can figure it the fuck out. Like, that has given me more raises than anything. And it'll piss my wife off. She'll tell you. But, you know, she's finally to a point where she believes me when I buy something stupid now. She's like, well, fuck it. He'll figure it out. Like, you don't know how many raises I've given myself by just buying a car. And I'm like, this math don't fucking add. Yeah, I'll sign right there. Quality of having good credit. If you don't have good credit, go buy some other bullshit you can't afford. You will, if you want it bad enough, you will figure it out. I promise you that. It is stressful. It'll cause gray hair when you're 35, but you will figure it out if you want it bad enough. Do not take my advice if you're not willing to be stressed, if you're not willing to have gray hair, and if you don't want to fight. But don't know where I was going with that, but do some big ass shit in your life. So, oh yeah, I was talking about challenges and opportunities. Go find them. Go enjoy life. I really, really mean that. If you're struggling and you're on square one, yes, it's going to be hell for a year or two. But if it's hell for longer than a year or two, you're doing something wrong, reach out to me. I promise I'll chat you through it. I'll kind of give you the real talk. And what is it going to probably be? I'm going to tell you to quit being a bitch and go to work. But after that, go enjoy it. Go get a reward system. So here's another thing that we talked about at the thing that this one really stuck out to me because this one kind of punched me in the freaking in the kidney a little bit and said, wake up, dude. So we had this little chart, right? And there were 3 columns. The first column is the tallest column, then a middle column, and then a short column. Each one of those columns represented a human's capacity of full potential. So it got me a little bit off because I truly believe all humans are geared for greatness. But at the same time, I do think there is a very slight, like there's a 10% standard deviation. So, you know, and I'm talking about a healthy human. I mean, if you've got some, you know, handicap, I get it. You're probably more powerful than us because you actually have something that's pushed you through some shit. But real talk, like, I believe we're kind of all, this is kind of like humanity, right? And you could go 10% below average, 10% above average. And that's going to be your just born gifts, I guess you could call it. Now, here's the thing. So that high column was kind of that 10% standard deviation of someone who could do great things, that just kind of has that natural given superpower. Maybe that's the person, and take it back to like high school and college sports. You know, the guy who's just naturally athletic. They can play basketball. They can play football. They pick up golf sticks and they're good at golf. And you're like, how? Nobody's good at golf. How the hell do you do that? Like that person in your life, you could probably all think of at least one that just does shit and they've never even practiced it. And they're just decent at it. They're above average. They don't put in any work. So that's going to be that 10% above. The average person is just the average baseline of everybody. And then, you know, the 10% below, we all have that buddy is like, dude, like, talk shit, whatever. It's going to be fun. My brother, for example, he will beat my ass at everything, but he has to try a hell of a lot harder than I do. But it's a skill set for him. You know, for me, even though I didn't try in school and I ain't good at grades, like when I did show up, like I could usually pass the class by just showing up and going to class and taking a test. I never did homework, never did any of that shit. Somehow figured out how to graduate, but it wasn't difficult. My brother barely fucking graduated. He had to try his freaking ass off. And we went to the same school, so we had the same teachers. I don't know what it was. Same thing. He's 5'8". He played middle linebacker in football. I'm 6'3". Like I have a middle linebacker frame. I just didn't hit the weight room hard enough. He hit the weight room. He hit practice 100 times harder than I did. And he played middle linebacker. I played free safety because I didn't like getting my face kicked in at the line. Like, and I mean, he honestly, I mean, even being a little shit, he probably could have got a better scholarship offer than I did. So he just put in more work. But naturally, his attributes, he was slightly above. Like I have the body, I have the size, I have the frame. He does not. He put in the work. So what that made me realize as we went through this is that each one of those columns, so 10% above, average 10% below, you then have 3 equal brackets. You have the overachiever. That's going to be the top bracket. You have the average, the achiever in the middle, and then you have the underachiever. So I want you to think about that. If I make each one of these brackets an equal third, my 10% standard deviation only puts them off this much. However, if I have someone who's an overachiever here, so this side of my screen, I wish I should have done this one on PowerPoint, is your underachiever. So this is max for them right here, right? Max for an overachiever is like way the hell up there, making adjustments. So here's the problem. This guy's full potential could be right here. But let's say he's an overachiever. He's a max in everything. He's given everything else he has. But I have a guy or a gal who's destined for greatness here, and they just have a gift to overachieve. They have the ability to do whatever they want. But they're an underachiever. They're only performing right freaking here. So this brought into perspective for me, because I'll be real with you. Me personally, when I look at this, I kind of put myself at that like achiever, maybe even underachiever level. Because I really do believe this. I believe that like I could do whatever the hell I want. If you guys haven't figured out from this call, I am very cocky, sometimes even arrogant, which I absolutely hate, but it's something I try to reel in. I think there's, some healthy manner to it, but sometimes my arrogance gets to my head a little bit. My ego kicks in and I think I'm doing more than I actually do. Now, I also am, on the same side, semi-realist and, success-wise, I've had decent level of success. Like, shut up, watch. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Fucking NSA's trying to get on us like, this motherfucker's speaking truth. We don't like that shit. So like I've had really good success. Like I'm not going to try to be, I've done well for myself. I've achieved a lot. But here's the thing. There's a lot of times in my life where I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, I could do so much more. Especially when I was drinking, man. Like and I'm not saying like a lot of you, maybe you have 2 or 3 drinks. I'm talking about drinking because it's something big that's happened in my life. I don't know if you guys know, because I never really talked about it while I was going through it. If you guys were on this call before January, I was probably slightly hungover a few of the days, just being real with you. And it doesn't mean I was great. The thing is, I was fucking most of you up with a good hangover. I sobered up in January. I don't remember the date. It wasn't a New Year's thing. It was sometime in January. Some shit happened. I sobered up sometime in January. So it's been 10 months now? About, I don't know the exact date. I don't care. The reason I actually don't talk about it very much is I didn't start believing myself until the last 2 months. And it was weird because I just quit drinking one day because I realized that I was a fucking fraud. And I wasn't getting into fights. I wasn't doing anything stupid. I wasn't, when I was in the military, I was drinking like a half a fifth to a fifth a night. I wasn't at that level, but I always felt like a fraud. And I always felt like, I didn't feel good with who I was and what I was doing. So I never, ever, ever talked about drinking with you guys. Because one, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but it was something I was going through. But the problem was it was something huge that was holding me back. Like I was performing, I would say to the average person, I was performing in the top 20%, like no bullshit, income wise, fitness wise, like the shit that I was getting done in a day. I was probably performing in the top 20% of Americans. And if you want to go income, I was in the top fucking 5% of Americans, like fucking people up. And I was operating at 50% of my full potential, but it ate at me for so many years and so many months of like letting alcohol control who I was. And that's where like I see that like overachiever level. Like I have great potential. I really think I'm destined to do some great shit on earth, and I'm going to change a fuck ton of lives. That's one of my goals. Sorry, I'm cursing again because I'm just getting real, and I'm working on getting that one out. It's just hard. So like, I really have this image in my head, and I've had it for years. This isn't since I've been working for the Elliott Group. This is decades that I'm going to change the world in a positive nature. I really believe that. The problem is if I'm going to be addicted to a substance like alcohol, even if I don't get in fights, even if I don't lie, even if I don't cheat, even if I don't do it, and this is how I justified drinking a lot, is I screwed people up. I was doing better than everyone, and I didn't really have any direct negative effects that I was putting on the world. I wasn't hating. I wasn't doing any of that. Like I wasn't able to help alcoholics how I wanted. That was about the only thing that handcuffed me, is I couldn't sit here and say, you shouldn't drink because it's holding you back, because that was me. But the problem was it was keeping me at 50% of my potential, and it was making me an underachiever. Now, a lot of you could have looked at me and be like, dude, he's an overachiever. He's great. Yeah, on the outside, I could look like a damn saint, but if on the inside, I'm tearing myself up and bringing myself down, I'm doing myself a disservice of not operating to my full potential. And I have capabilities that are through the freaking roof, but I'm only truly operating at 20% of my true self. Now, 20% of my true self could be 90% of you. It could be 10% of you. But it was something holding me back. So when I say that, I want you to look into it. And that's kind of why I consider myself someone that has great potential. But honestly, I act as an achiever, because I truly, to myself, I know to this day, even with cutting alcohol out, I don't always overachieve. I don't always push as hard as I can. Why? Because I have, certain things in my life. There's, times I'll go to take my family to a sporting event. There's times, I want to go to the Arizona State Fair. I hate the State Fair, but I still like it. It's trash. It's like just doing shit that I did as a kid. Like I'm going to eat a shitty hot dog that day. I know I'm going there to fail and I don't give a shit. I'm not going there for a win. I'm going there because I like the nostalgia of it. I like to see society in its lowest fucking form because, and my kids fucking love it too. Like there's a big enjoyment there, but there's also just like, it's like going to fucking Walmart occasionally. You go to Walmart once every 6 months just to remember what the fuck Walmart's about. I wish Target didn't have so much political bullshit behind them. I'd go there more, but Walmart's always a good time. They just like, dude, we're trash. We don't even give a shit anymore. It's like, fuck, you guys got it. So, you know, think about where you are. Think about where your potential lies. And, you know, are you the person that, you know, you're handicapped a little bit from life? Maybe you're a dumbass like myself. Maybe, you know, you're a female and you're a roofer and, you know, 90% of your coworkers are males. And that's kind of, I don't want to say you're handicapped, but that's kind of like the odd thing that's pulling you out. Like, okay, if you're not as strong as the people to you, if you're not, you know, if that's not your thing, give 100%, because I guarantee you there's people that are destined for greatness that are given 20% and your 100% will outdo their 20% all day. Or are you someone that considers yourself like me? And be real with yourself. It's okay to think you're great and not performing. It's okay to think you have a disadvantage, but you're going to mess everybody up. Like, do you see yourself the way I am? That, oh my gosh, I have so much more, but I'm kind of freaking lazy. Well, if that is you, there's someone who's got nothing, no natural talent, who's going to mess you up in the end. And then does your level of effort that you're putting into life, does it align with your goals? Do you believe that you're destined to make $1 billion? Do you believe that your name's Boff Gross and you know you're going to go to sleep on this freaking call and get a big old yawn? Jonathan, don't worry, I caught your yawn earlier too. I was just in the middle of something. I couldn't call you out. But like, do you believe you're destined for greatness, but your work ethic that you're putting in every day doesn't show it? And does that piss you off enough that you want to change? Because this is all into going back to the very first thing I said, mastering yourself. And you have to be true, you have to be real, and you have to be just open with yourself. So here's the last thing, and then I'll open it up to questions. The last thing I have is leveling up matters. You're going to have to start at the bottom over and over and over again, and I'll explain this in a second. But if you're not comfortable, if you're afraid to start at the bottom over and over again, you're never, ever, ever going to jump to another level, because you're always going to be the bottom of a new room. Take a second to think about it. I know a lot of you already know where I'm going with this. Think about the people in your life. Think about the top 20, 30 people. So these are going to be the people. These aren't this isn't your ride or die group. This is just the people that you surround yourself with. Where are you currently in that social circle? I know a lot of people get pissed off at me. Dude, your social circle doesn't matter. Fuck you. Yes, it does. Like, I hate to tell you this because it sucks ass having to cut people on that you really like in life, because there's just like, dude, I've got some broke friends from back in the day that are fucking hilarious. Like, to go to a bar with them, sit down and have a couple beers, man, that is a great 4 hours. They will have you laugh and they will have you cracking up the entire time, but they are not going to improve anything in your life. They're not going to give you value other than a good laugh. And I mean, you can even tell them they're the funniest motherfucker and they need to get into stand-up. They ain't going to do it. They're lazy. They're going to hold you back, though. So think about the 20 people you're around. Where are you? Are you, you know, with whatever your goals are? Maybe your goals is to be the best father. Are you the best father in that group? Maybe your goals is to be wealthy as hell. Are you the wealthiest in that group? Or are you at the bottom, or are you at the middle? So in each one of these groups, each one of these circles, I want you to draw a little pie chart. That's a circle, and we're going to make some pie pieces. 80% of that pie, I want you to go off. So that's going to be 3/4 of the pie plus a sliver. 80% of that pie, I want you to write actors. So 80% of people in that social group are going to be actors of that group. And I want you to have 3 pies right by each other: left, middle, right. And they're all going to look the exact same. So 80% in each one of those pies is going to be actors. 19%, so make it everything but just a smallest sliver. Make this little itty bitty pie slice. You can't even write it. You're going to have to do a line and right outside because it's going to be tiny. But 19%, so this is the remainder, not the little itty bitty piece. 19% are going to be the doers. And then 1% of people are going to level up. So you have these 3 circles. That 1% is then going to go to the circle to the right of that. And they're going to enter that same chain of influence where 80% of the people are just in that group. 80% of people got there. They're now stuck there. They're handcuffed. They're going day to day, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They're just living life that way. And then 20% of people are moving the needle a little bit. They're up there on top, but they're just like, think about the salesperson or think about the high school athlete. I always go back to, high school because some of us, most of us got through it at least till the freshman, sophomore year. So you have something to relate to. So you go back to that high school athlete, right? The quarterback, he had all the girls, he had all the fame. Everybody knew him in high school. And then all of a sudden you never fucking heard of him again, right? Because he was a doer. He wasn't ready to go to the NCAA. He wasn't ready to go Division I, whatever it was. I didn't want to work hard enough. I wanted alcohol and drugs more. Like, it was just the doer at the high school level, and he got stuck in high school for the rest of his life and never did anything better. It's the same thing with income brackets. It's the same thing with, leadership roles in business. You start off as sweeping floors, then you become a sales assistant or a setter, something like that, salesperson. From there, you can go, entrepreneur to management, something that level. Then you go C-suite, then you go C-suite is executive, but you go executive owner, and then you go corporation owner. It's the same level through business. It's the same level through income. 0 to 1, 1 to 250, 250 to 5, 5 to a mil to 10 mil, 10 mil to 100 mil. Like, those are kind of just the social circles that you're going to structure through. So hypothetically, let's say one of you right now just figured out how to break 6 figures. Congratulations, by the way. If that is you, if in the last 12 months, you're having your first 6-figure year, congratulations, by the way. I know I dog on people quite a bit, but good freaking job. Like, good freaking job. Now I ask you this, who are you surrounding yourself with? If you're making 110 grand for the first year, 120 grand for the first year ever in your life, go look at the 10 people that you hang around the most. Did they level up with you? Or did you all of a sudden just level up to their standard? Have they been $100,000 producers for the last 3 or 4 years, and now you're with them? The problem is, if you stay with them, go ahead and get stuck there, or go find the next group. Go out and network with people who are making $250,000, $300,000, $400,000. Go pay to be in the room. Go find the free networking event. There's a million ways to do it. I don't care how you do it, but go find the next room if you want the information. Because if all you're hearing is $100,000 information talk, $100,000 information habits, cool. Congratulations. You're going to be stuck there. Go listen to what people that make 250, $500,000 say. Same thing. If your goal is to be the best father or mother, and you're hanging out with the group that is, drinking on the weekends, going and playing golf every Sunday for 5 hours and leaving the ladies at home so you guys can get your buzz together and go have bro time. Cool. Maybe you decide that you don't watch the Friday night football high school game anymore and you spend that with your wife. Great. You just got to the highest level of that dad group or of that husband group. Now, do you want to be able to give more to your wife? Go find that next group of husbands. The ones that are maybe bringing their wives with them to golf. The ones that are, going out with dates with other couples that, have good intentions and do big things in life together. Go find that next group. So I'm trying to relate this call so it's not 100% money focused, because guess what? Like, this life is, once you figure out how to make a little bit of money, that's kind of all you need. You don't have to be a billionaire. I really mean that. Like, if you got big goals and you want $1 billion in the bank, go get your Billy, but that's not what it's about. So remember that. Think about who you're around. Think about what social group it is, or whatever group you're trying to climb. And are you at the top of that group? And if you're at the top of the group, are you ready to go make the change? If you're ready to go make the change, if there's something on your mind, if you're trying to get to another area in life and you've been stuck at a certain level, are you ready to make that big move? If you're ready to make that big move, if it is dire to your heart, if it's something you believe in, are you ready? The third level is, are you ready to make that irreversible change? Are you ready to make that irreversible change in your life? Something that when you decide to go dive into it, something like I was talking about, if I were to lose my arms and legs, I was going to run for president. That was fucking it. The VA was going to pay me my $4 or $5 grand a month for my disability. That was somehow going to be enough to run for president, to keep me alive. And I was going to do everything in my power to sit in the White House. Luckily, in that case, my irreversible change of losing my arms and legs did not fucking happen. But are you ready to get, and no one cut their arms or legs off, that's not where we're going with this, but are you ready to get so freaking crazy that you're willing to make a change that you cannot go back from? It might be moving across the country. It might be quitting your W-2 job today. And by the way, if you're about ready to quit your W-2 job because I got you fired up or some shit, ask yourself, can I really do this? And I don't mean you can't, but I mean, have I developed skills? Because a lot of times people are like, I'm going to quit my W-2 job. I'm like, bitch, you started selling things 2 days ago. How about you learn to sell things with your W-2 job so you learn the skill set in running a business and keeping an operation? So don't do something stupid, but maybe you shouldn't. Because what is stupid to you? Stupid to you and stupid to me are two different things. I moved from fucking Oregon to Arizona without a job based on and I just told her, like, what if you don't find a job when you get to Arizona? well, my resume won't be as good as I thought it was. But I was confident in myself. I was confident I could lock that shit down. I had a wife and 2 kids. Like, I ain't going to fail that shit. Sold our house. Actually, we moved here before we sold our house in Oregon. So I didn't even have the funds from our house yet in Oregon. Just came the fuck down because I knew I didn't want what I was in Oregon. I knew Salem was a limited market. I knew I needed to get someplace bigger. And, luckily I was right. Luckily my resume stacked. Luckily it all worked out. But I just believed in myself. And the cool thing is, in Arizona, I had no family. We had no friends. It was just us. And for me, that was one of the best things that we ever did because there was no plan B. There was no, we didn't have anyone to watch our kids when we needed shit. My wife didn't work because she was with the kids. We do a million things. Not only do we move to Arizona, something I said is we're not going to drop our lifestyle one bit. We're not going to cut back. We're not going to say, or we're going to say, but we're not going to we're going to keep our kids in sports. We're going to keep our kids in the nice schools. You can stay home if you want. You don't have to go back. That was another thing I said. We're not going to change our lifestyle either to move to Arizona. So it was taking a huge risk of moving here. And I'm talking, this was before I worked for Andy. I was one of the few people that lived in Arizona before he brought me on the team. I moved here about 1.5 years, 2 years before they did. So when I did that, we had no plan. I had no fucking job lined up. I just fucking moved here. So do something like that in your life. It doesn't have to be move. That's just something that's personal to me because I've actually gone through it many times in my life. Anytime I get comfortable, I move. I don't plan on doing it now. I love Arizona, but the Army is really cool because they move you about every 3 to 4 years and kind of just wakes you up. New people, new circle. You think you're a cocky sergeant in the 173rd. All of a sudden they move you to 425 and you're the fucking new guy. Shit. That shit sucks. You got to prove your worth again. You got to prove you got to prove your earn. It kicks your ass a little bit. And it's an ego check, especially if you thought you were hot shit in the 173rd. You go over there and you're a fucking fuck you. You know who the fuck I am? No. Damn it. Nobody in the Army is that damn cool. Unless you're the president or some 4-star general. And then it's not that you're even cool. It's just that we're required to tell you you're cool. It's in the regulation. Tell General Jackass he's cool. I love being out. I can say whatever the fuck I want. That's kind of fun. And I don't mean it any disrespect. If I have any generals on this call or used to be an officer, you lazy fuck, get back to work. Good luck, motherfucker. Sorry, language. All right, that's on you guys, not me. You took me down a dark path. Let me open this up to questions. I'm just kidding. Let me open this up to questions. Who's got any questions? It is 10:04, so if you've already been on it, you're into overtime. I thank you all. Anyone who does need to get off, don't feel like you have to stay on. It does not hurt my feelings. I hope to see everybody next week and invite some people to these calls. It doesn't have to be my call. It could be someone else's call, but invite some people. But let me hit some questions because these are usually freaking amazing. Seth, kick us off. What do you got for me?
First of all, congratulations on getting out. I just got out in April. So fuck yeah, dude. And real quickly, when you were talking about strategies to scale and such like that, you kind of briefly went over it and I missed a bit. Could you just hit on that real quickly again for me?
What branch were you?
Army. 11 Bravo.
Dude, yeah.
Wait, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. Been there, done that. Fucking sucks dick.
It's way harder for us because I come to find out you can't actually sign contracts in Crayola. They get really pissed off. So all of our Marine buddies, they led us the wrong way. They taste delicious. Don't get me wrong. The Marines had something going, but yeah, you can't sign contracts in red crayon. So, okay. So when I talk about scaling, man, scaling just means adding things over and over that are duplicatable. So what do you do? What industry are you in, brother?
So I'm specifically in AI automation type email outreach, SAS, SaaS, that type, specifically reaching out.
How do you go from 11 Bravo to nerd?
I've always been a nerd, but I've always wanted to achieve something that I wanted to do. So I went out and fucking did it.
All right, good job, dude. Real talk. I'm gonna give you shit just because I know you can take it.
Yeah.
But good job, man. So, dude, your entire job is scaling. Your entire job. I mean, AI is all about scaling. It's all about creating systems. And these cool things is I think as that you probably have a very analytical brain. How long were you in the military?
8 years.
Okay, so same as I was, 7 years, 10 months. So you probably have this very analytical brain that likes to analyze things and likes to come likes a path. Were you good at land nav?
Oh yeah, I was one of the best.
I know. So because of that, you like maps, which actually makes scaling harder to create because your processes that you can create and implement in your life can be a little bit more complicated. But when they do get there, they become a lot more like once you can get them into the routines of your life, you go robot mode. So something that I had to learn coming from the infantry world, coming into business, is the infantry teaches you to operate on chaos to a certain degree. But the thing about the chaos is, think about this, and I talk about this with any MOS because everybody remembers this from basic training, battle drill 1 alpha, right? And some people on this call are like, what the hell is he talking about? Dude, I might have used a variant of battle drill 1 a handful of times during a firefight. You know, it's a react to ambush battle drill, but like really we kind of I don't even want to say half-assed it. We did it. We used it.
Suppressive fire and then figure it the fuck out. That's it.
That's what it was. But imagine this: you drill battle drill 1 so much, and by the way, it's react to an ambush by making an L shape ambush. For anyone who's confused, if you ever played Call of Duty, you might be able to figure it out. It's the same thing. I promise. Go join. Anyways, you drill it so much when bullets start flying. Because you said you've been to Iraq and Afghanistan. You got a CIB?
No, actually, we got fucked.
Okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, but when you actually get into a firefight, like all of a sudden, all that memory shit, like it just disappears. Your brain doesn't really think about it. It goes to a machine learning way. And I've seen some guys who didn't train. I've seen some guys literally curl up in the fetal position. We never took them out on mission again.
Right.
And I've seen guys who had to struggle to react because it wasn't dialed in. But like we operated with the National Guard unit once. I'm not going to tell you what state it was out of, but they only lasted 2 months with us because we literally got rid of them because they were a danger to us because they were not reacting to contact like we were. We didn't talk about it. We didn't think about it. When bullets start flying, you can't hear shit over the radio. So like you got an officer trying to call in air support. That's about it. But other than that, it's hand signs and chaos. But you've done it so much. You've done these same routines over and over again. Even if you haven't had that exact firefight, even if you haven't had that exact scenario, you know 14 of these other scenarios that just kind of merge together with that one, and you just start acting as a team. So you're going to have to find that level of business in your own life. So what I like to do is, one, I'm introverted. I don't like talking to people. Surprise, surprise. I'm not good at small talk. I absolutely hate networking events. So when I got into sales, I knew this. I knew I hated being broke more than I hated not talking to people. Okay. So my entire language, my entire word tracks, this is all script. Like, I'm just going to be real with you. Yeah. This, I had to study the art of language over and over again to become a good public speaker. And what's crazy about it is I knew how to speak in the military. I was our brigade weapons sergeant for 425 toward the end of my time. And dude, I could give a M4 class to a studio if I want. And it's freaking retarded because you can't actually teach anybody how to shoot an M4 when you got 400 people in front of you. It's just to check the block before we go to the range. You know what I'm talking about. So like I had no problem doing that. But then I get into business and I realized like, dude, I don't know anything about this. Well, what did the military teach me? Well, you could go to, I don't know what years you were in. I mean, I'm assuming the last 8 you got out in April, so I could do math. But like WLC or BNLC or whatever the hell they call it nowadays.
BLC now, yeah.
Like whatever the leadership courses are, right?
Yeah.
Like what do? Crawl, walk, run. Yep. I'm going to start crawling with this little process. I'm going to get it ingrained. I'm going to get that. And then I'm going to walk with it. Okay, now I'm moving along. I don't have to think about it too much. And then what do, crazy people do when they run? They kind of zone out and they get in that runner's high. I don't know what that's like. I fucking hate running. I've never found it before. Were you airborne?
We were airborne and air assault qualified, but our unit was more air assault than it was airborne.
But it's like doing the cadences. It's like doing the run. It gets it off your mind and it just gets it flowing. So whatever it is, whether it's scaling in life, scaling in business, if we ever wanted to dig deeper, by all means, reach out to me. We can dig deeper in scaling in processes within your business. That's just such a separate conversation. I don't feel like doing it on a live conversation because what works for you. Screw with Steven and he'd be like, I tried that, didn't work. I'm like, no shit, dude, you don't do AI shit. So AI isn't going to work for you.
Yeah. I'll be out there this weekend too, so I'll make sure we'll connect.
Yeah, stop by me, man. I'll let you shoot my gun in the middle of the seminar.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Elizabeth will be out here. You'll be out here. I think a couple more of you guys will be out here. So make sure you guys link up. If you're not in that Andy Sales Nation group, I'll drop it in the chat again. Join that shit because I'm going to start tagging a lot more people that are going to be out in the groups because I want the networking to get a lot better. I want people to know who people are before they get out. So we'll move on, brother. I'll talk to you this weekend, dude. Have an awesome, safe flight over. Troy, what do you got for me, dude?
Hey, man, it's not much of a question, but I wrote a comment so I wouldn't forget it earlier. But I'll be honest, at the very beginning, you weren't my favorite speaker. It's when you started talking about the dark side and how to deal with it and how to push through it and other things we were talking about. But I pushed through the confidence I had with you guys. I'm growing to like you more, man. You are doing an awesome job and you growing. I see it. And just want to say good job to you.
Thanks, dude. No, that actually means a lot, man, because I appreciate you saying that because it does mean a lot, dude. Like real talk, and I won't be cocky and I won't be, my arrogant self on this, but you do shit over and over again. And sometimes you don't get the good job. Sometimes even if you're as cocky as I am and you like that get better, your shit, don't be a bitch like attitude, excuse me, there is a certain level of a compliment like that, man, that does, really mean a lot and encourage you. And I think in the end, even though I can on the edges, I'm not for everyone and I'm not as skilled as I want to be. All of that, goes into play. There is that good win where you do connect with someone, man. And, sometimes that message is like, dude, I hated you at first because I hated that don't be a bitch thing that you always say. I thought you were a little too cocky. I thought you were arrogant. Your twist on politics all the time. That's freaking annoying. I get it. I don't give a shit. I mean, I do. I do. Thank you. It's funny. I had a guy the other day who called me, a client just like you, who wasn't a fan of what I said and what I spoke about a lot. And it was because I cursed too much. And my first instinct was, don't be a bitch. And then I thought about it for a second. I actually respected the guy, man. And it actually kind of hurt me that he even made that comment because I respected him. And he was like, dude, honestly, I like a lot of the stuff you say. He's like, I just can't get over how rough you are. He's like, honestly, I want my kids to be able to listen to what you say. And I went, oh, that hurt. Because I want to be the person that has the biggest influence. And I know I'm not for everybody, but when I hear someone like what you just said, Troy, of like, hey, I didn't like you at first, but I've seen you improve, dude. That means a lot, man, because I put in a lot of work. I try to read a lot. I try to study a lot, and I try to truly give you guys back. And I know some of my calls sometimes, like, the mindset stuff does get annoying. Sometimes that's just for me because I'm in there myself. But I truly try to give you value, dude. So thank you, brother. That means the world.
Thank
brother.
you. And you and everyone else since I've joined, I feel I've been improving too. And I want to stick with you guys. And I want to give praise to each and every one of you because it's a two-way street being a team. And I want to be part of that.
Thank you. Good job, man. Thank you. Keep kicking ass, Troy. Elizabeth, what do you got for me? Thank you, dude.
No, I just want to speak to that a little bit. I think that's what makes the Elliott group so unique is that all of the coaches are all so different. So it's up to us to determine which coaches we want to surround ourselves with, who resonates with us. And anyway, that's all. Jonathan is an acquired taste, but once you acquire the taste, Jonathan is a freaking badass. And he's one of the real ones. Like, I've had some really hard conversations with Jonathan where he's had to point out, like, you need to do this different. You need to do this. Like, he'll be real with you. He's not going to sugarcoat it. So yes, he comes off as like hard and he cusses and he's aggressive, but sometimes we need that ass kicking or else we're never going to change. So that's definitely like one of my favorite things about these calls is it's just like, it's a kick in the ass. It's a reality check. And as much as I don't like it, sometimes I need it. So that's why I like Jonathan.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for turning my Q&A into a make me feel good session. I'm so bad at taking compliments and shit. I'm like, I can say thank you 100 times, but I gotta get better at taking compliments. Like, what's the right way? Someone do a call next week with me, and we're gonna talk about how to correctly take a compliment.
It's as simple as saying thank you.
Yeah, you did it, and you just said that means a lot, right? That means a lot. Thank you. That's it.
I appreciate it. It's like one of those things where like shit like that. It's like you want to express to people how much it truly means. But you also, being myself, want to be a hard ass motherfucker and not smile and be like, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm a badass, but it does mean a lot. Thank you guys both very much. And Elizabeth, you nailed it perfectly. I mean, if you guys get on, I know a lot of you get on a lot of the other calls. If you only get on mine, thank you. But I know a lot of you guys get on the Monday with Chris, Tuesday with the twins, Thursday and Friday with Danny and Rai and Selena, Wednesday evening. Like, we all have a different personality. We're all very similar. We're all on the same mission. We all want to see better in the world, but the thing is, we're all humans at the same time. We all have different paths. We all have a different future that we're chasing to a certain extent. And when it comes down to it, it's just your basic core values of humanity. You want to see the world become a better place. You want to see men and women, operate at their highest level in times of, pain and confusion and whatever else is going on. But in all reality, if I could just make someone fucking smile a day, like, yeah, I like getting paid. Trust me, I like getting paid a shit ton. It's a lot of fun. But I would say being able to make someone smile and hearing something like that from both of you does, in the end, have a much like deeper satisfaction than a paycheck. And the cool thing is when you just give back to the world, I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want. I never imagined that I would be doing what I'm doing right now. I kind of dreamed about it. I just didn't realize that you could actually get paid to talk shit to people all day. But if you do things for the right reason and you serve other humans and you provide some sort of service that, you know, helps people, you'll always be in a good place. So I'll end it on that. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to say, whatever you're doing, whatever you're selling, whatever business you're running, I think it ends it well. Like, finding yourself is finding yourself for your customers, finding yourself for your future, and finding yourself for your legacy. And when you focus on making yourself the best business owner, making yourself the best salesperson, making yourself the best husband, the best wife, the best father, the best mom, the best whatever the hell you want to do in life, the best at what you do, you're going to find happiness and you're going to find fulfillment in that. So to wrap up everything for this call, and I know we're on the overtime, so I appreciate the 14 of you that stuck around. You're getting the extra 60 seconds or more. Finding your best self is an ongoing journey, but when you do find it and when you get closer and closer to it every single day, you'll just be able to help more and more people, whether it's sell them something, whether it's lead your kid through a relationship issue they're having, or a swim competition that they didn't do as well on as they thought, or, you know, this and that. The better you get, the better you'll be able to contribute. So I love you guys all. You guys have an amazing freaking day. I look forward to meeting a couple of you, seeing a couple of you again this weekend. Safe travels. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.